Hey, good morning, everybody. Um, Excuse me, I got a little bit of adjusting to do. Hey, y'all know I got to have all my stuff in order. You know what I'm saying? Got some things to talk to you about today. And today's going to be a very good episode of Entertain the Thought. I hope that everybody is in place and that you have some time to stick around because we are going to talk about some very important things about the spirit, some very important things about the nature of the human spirit. So my name is Reese Roberts, for those of you who have never been in this live before with me. This podcast is called Entertain the Thought. And we talk about social issues. We talk about human consciousness. We talk about human evolution, among other things. So a lot of social things that we talk about. So the last time I did a live, we were talking about the hands, the way that the spirit works in the hands, or what spiritual hands do, what spiritual hands are. So I want to actually go through the entire operational functionality of the human spirit. I won't say the entire, but I'm going to cover the five senses. Because we know that we have sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch, and other things going on with our human body. But these things also exist in the spirit sense. And so we have to get an understanding about how to use these things, how we can, really operate. Hey, hold on. I don't know who that is. Nubian Queen 229. Hey, I don't know that handle, but you know my real name, so that means you know me. So let me get into it. The first thing I want to talk about, which I believe to be the most important thing in this topic, is knowing the character of your spirit, which also means knowing the proclivities of your spirit, knowing what you are in the spirit. There are a lot of us who pay attention to zodiacs, we pay attention to astrology, we pay attention to what our friends tell us, we pay attention to, what associates and our co-workers and things like that tell us about what we're doing. Akila, hey, what's up, Akila? So what we're doing is trying to get an understanding at this point about what our spirit in particular is meant to do while we are living on this planet, on this plane as spiritual beings, but not necessarily humans. Really, we're both. And we all know that. So we know how to operate as a human. Okay. But we also need to know how to operate in the spiritual sense. So what are your spiritual proclivities? In the spirit, what are you inclined to resist and what are you inclined to accept? What are you inclined to do as a response to certain stimuli? How do you perceive yourself? How do you perceive other things? If your spiritual character is to be timid or even to be a little bit audacious, those are things you need to know about yourself and about your spirit so that you can make spiritual moves. A person like myself, I'm a little bit audacious when it comes to my spirit. I'm very free when it comes to my spirit. So for me, I know that in my spiritual operational guide that I'm putting together for myself, I know that I need to teach myself that I have to learn restraint because I'm naturally inclined to being outgoing, to being free, to being limitless and boundless. So that could be a problem if it's not kept in balance with my spiritual mission. These are things that we have to know about our lives. You are here to complete a spiritual mission. And so in order for you to complete the mission, you must know what you're working with. You must know what tools you've been preset with. You understand? When you've been preset with a certain amount of things, then you should know how you can kind of use those things in the spirit. So let's move on to, I might come back to this at the end, but let's move on to the senses, the five senses in the spirit. So hearing, in the spirit. This is the one of the things that I know to be an issue with my people. We cannot, in many situations and cases, we cannot hear our spirit until we are in dire situations, dire straits. Do we at some point recognize that we have to listen to our spirit? What does that mean? How does it look? How do you do it? All right. When you are in your thoughts, you've got all kinds of stuff going on up here. You just thinking. There, you should be able to sort through all of those thoughts, sort through them, itemized. And I want you to separate those thoughts. You need to separate them, because what you're doing is trying to figure out which part of yourself are you listening to. When you're hearing your thoughts, now I want you to make this correlation. Your thoughts equal your spiritual hearing. Okay? Your thoughts become who you are. So your spirit, the spirit of your mind is equal to your thoughts. So as you're thinking, what's the most important thing to understand about your thoughts is that your thoughts have sources. There's a source, there's an energy, there's a spirit that belongs to your thoughts, depending on what the thought is. So if you are, let's just say, in a situation and fear, something that you fear comes up in your thoughts, something, you're thinking about something that you're afraid of. Let's just say quitting your job. You're going to have all kinds of combative thoughts going back and forth within your one brain. And this is key to remember and key to understand. You have one brain. You have one self. Well, I shouldn't say you have one self. You only have one brain. But you are sharing that one brain with all of your different versions of yourself. All of them are sharing your brain space and your brain matter. So when you are allowing your thoughts to roam around in your mind, your current self is like a presiding mediator, so to speak. So every time you have a positive thought and you have something that's encouraging you to do whatever is pleasing to you, whatever equals out to you caring for yourself or caring for another person, this, I want you to separate that as being your higher self. Good things. That's the self that is the highest. It wants the highest good. It wants to see you prosper and succeed. Then you have another entity or another source of your thoughts, and that source of your thoughts is not so benevolent. That source of your thoughts, when you are presented with something, let's just say like the idea of quitting your job, you are presented with ideas that feed into the fear instead of taking you away from it. So for the example, your higher self will give you thoughts in your brain about, if you quit your job, you really do have a business plan. You really do know what you want to do. You have a purpose. You have a really good plan moving forward. You shouldn't have anything to fear to quit this job. Go ahead and submit your resignation. You'll be fine. But then you have your lower self, as you're considering to quit your job, your lower self is telling you all the things that are negative that are going to happen in this situation. Now, I don't think it's a bad thing to have negative thoughts, so to speak. What happens is when we have these negative thoughts, we encourage or we allow one side to win. As a mediator of your positive and negative thoughts, your job as a human being in a physical flesh body is for you to allow your physical flesh body to follow the thoughts that are leading you in a positive direction. So when you hear the lower thoughts, the lower self coming to you and saying, if you quit that job, you are going to be broke. You will not be able to travel any longer. You're not going to be happy. You don't know what if business gets slow and you ain't got no money. You don't have anybody to ask for money. The negative thoughts are going to come. Now, the reason why I say I don't think it's bad to have negative thoughts is because all those things need to be considered. Okay? If you're about to quit your job, you need to consider if you're not going to have any money when business gets slow. When you quit your job, you need to consider, are you going to be able to make ends meet, or what's going to be the, outcome? Negative thoughts have a purpose. Everything in this universe has a purpose. So negativity, as we all know, if you don't have darkness, what is the day? If you don't have bad, then what is good? So your negative thoughts, I don't think that they should be dismissed. I think they should be respected. And I think they should be considered, but I don't think that they should always win. So as the mediator of your thoughts, you are sorting through to say, you know what? I heard that negative thought and what it said, but my positive thought is really going to win in this situation because I know and I'm confident and I have faith that I did all the work I needed to do. I went over this time and time again. I know my spirit. I know my proclivities. I know that I'm going to need to save money. I know that I'm going to have to create partnerships. I know that I'm going to have to do blah, blah, blah in order for me to be successful. So all those negative thoughts that I had, I heard them. It's like hearing somebody's opinion that you don't care about. When your mind does that to you, it should be treated the same way. I heard what you said, lower self, but I choose not to feed into that more so than I choose to feed into my faith, more so than I choose to feed into the positive things that I want to do, more so than I feed into the things that I've done to prepare. You understand what I mean? So when you're hearing your thoughts, spiritual hearing, you have to allow yourself to mediate that which you hear. And you have to allow yourself to understand that when you're hearing these thoughts and when you're hearing in the spirit, you're collecting all kinds of information. You could be reading something and it triggers chatter in your mind. You have to listen to that. There's a reason why something that you just read triggered a whole bunch of mind chatter. Listen to that mind chatter and figure out what's going on and where is it coming from. Because like I said, those thoughts have a source. They have a place in which they're trying to take you. Not only are they sourced in your core, but they're also trying to project themselves out into your future. And that's the reason why you have to be careful about what you speak. Okay? You have to be careful about what you speak because the source of your thoughts come out of your mouth. And as soon as they come out of your mouth, they are manifested in your reality. Just like that. And you can try it if you want. So now I'm going to talk about touching in the spirit. We're talking about the spiritual hands and what they can do, the functionality of the spiritual hands. This is your actions. When you have things that you're doing in the spirit with your hands, you're moving things. You're allowing your mind to direct your actions in such a way that when you are touching things and people with your spirit, you are manifesting out of that spiritual touch. Every time I speak to you, I'm spiritually touching you. That's a work of my spiritual hands. Even though I'm using my mouth, that is the work of my spiritual hands. When I'm doing something, when I'm physically doing something, that allows me to touch you with my spiritual energy. Do you understand? It's a operating, it's a doing. If I'm writing something and then I speak it, I have touched you in the spirit. If you can feel the energy that's coming off of me from any form of expression, you can call it expressions as well. Instead of actions, you can also say expressions. Because when you express yourself, I could actively paint a picture, a portrait, and it gives you a certain sense of emotions when you see that artwork. I could read a poem to you and it gives you a certain sense of emotion or a certain feeling of emotion when you hear the words that have come out of my mouth. I spiritually touched you with my spiritual hands. And the spiritual hands are essentially your forms of expression because you're touching people when you express yourself. You're touching people when you allow the inner workings of who you are to come out to play. All of your personalities, all of your special characteristics about you that nobody else can get from anywhere else. You're touching someone with your energy. And you have to know that in the spirit, touching does not require physical hands. Like I just said, it could be speaking. It could be any form of expression. So be careful when you are expressing yourself. Exactly. It's your gifts. Be careful when you are expressing yourself, because when you express something outside of your gifts, because your gift is never going to affect someone negatively, so to speak, because it wouldn't be considered a spiritual gift. But when you are expressing yourself outside of your gifts, be very careful about how you're allowing yourself to touch people. Because when you touch and you give off energy, that energy that goes into the person that you've touched, it somehow creates a ripple effect in the universe once you have released and began to touch other things. That's the ripple. Every time you touch something, that ripple, and then it eventually magnifies and finds its way back to you. So you want to be very careful about your expressions in the spirit. Be very careful about how you allow yourself to touch and how you allow yourself to be touched. Now, I want to talk very quickly about this next spiritual sense, which is the smell. And I consider spiritual smelling to be the act of spiritual discernment. Just like you might not be able to, like, you ever had somebody that be around you and they always wearing a whole bunch of perfume or cologne, and it's like you don't even have to see them bend the corner, but you smell them coming, and you're like, oh Lord, that gotta be Esther coming around the corner, because I know good and full well I smell that white diamonds that she wear all the time. Some old ladies be just bathing, old people period, they just bathe in the perfume and the cologne. Lord, you just be like, come on. But anyway, I want you to understand that as your discernment. Discernment, we all know to be our ability to see and understand and feel things, or interact with things that have yet to happen or yet to come. We can respond to things that we have yet to see. So when you can smell it coming, you sniffing out a situation, you sniffing out, you're sniffing out a circumstance. I want you to understand that's your spiritual sense of smell. You can smell it. You can feel it coming. That's you discerning what's happening in the spirit world. Just like if you have somebody is pregnant, you don't necessarily have to see that person's belly growing for you to know that they're pregnant. You can discern it because you can see things. You can smell things. It's like the aura of a thing. You can just see or smell it. So I want you to understand that as your spiritual sense of smell that is your discernment. Did y'all hear that? That sounded like an explosion. Maybe somebody transformer went out. I don't know. Another one that's really important in the spirit, you guys, is your sense of sight, which equates in the spirit world. Seeing equates to understanding, a sense of knowledge and wisdom. That is what it means for you to see in the spirit. If you don't, you know, you explain something to somebody and eventually they'll say, oh, I see. It's because I spiritually see. When I understand, it means I see. I spiritually see what you mean. And that's the reason why we say that I see what you mean. I see what you're saying. You can't see what a person is saying for real. You can't see it, but you can see it. Do y'all feel me what I'm trying to say to you? Your spiritual sense of sight is your spiritual ability to see and understand and know what is happening. When you look at TV, are you just seeing programming? Like when you're watching the news, are you really believing that most of the time a black man is going to be involved in crime? Or do you see that news network is manipulating you to believe that? Can you see and understand things? Do you understand what I mean? You need to be able to know and understand the inner workings and underlying levels or layers of what's happening on the surface level of the spirit world. When you have somebody lying to you, are you able to see through the lies? Can you put the pieces together and connect the dots without having to be led into doing it? That's wisdom. Or are you just taking everything at face value? If they tell you that, oh, these vaccinations aren't going to kill you, they're not going to do anything, even though there are plenty of questions being raised about it, do you stop and take a moment to see, to understand? This is the spirit now. Much different than your physical sense of sight. The next one, this is a good one. Have y'all ever, you remember, like, I don't know how many of y'all are still into church and the whole Christian thing. But there's a cliche that says, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh, taste and see. What does that mean, you guys? To have a sense of taste in the spirit. Taste and see that the Lord is good. To taste something in the spirit means that you are bringing in or taking in an experience. You're bringing in or taking in some kind of reward. You're bringing in or taking in some kind of information that is coming from the spirit. You're tasting by allowing yourself to process and experience. Do you see what I mean? If you are getting a taste of something, you're getting a small piece of it, an experience of it. You're tasting it. And in the spirit, what it means to taste, like you can have a taste of success. You can have, well, hell, you can have a taste of just about anything. I could say all kinds of things. You can have a taste of everything. A taste of anger. You can have a taste of joy. You can have a taste of whatever it is that you choose. Whatever it is that you're putting into your spiritual mouth. But you want to make sure that you understand that when you're in the spirit and you have an experience, let's just say you do want to quit your job going with the same experience. Let's just say you do want to quit your job and it's a spiritual task for you to conceptualize what's going to have to happen in your life, in your mind, in your body, in your spirit for you to become an entrepreneur or for you to actually take that spiritual leap. How about you taste it in the spirit first? Give yourself the experience. How about you just take a hiatus from your job and see what it's like if you go with your spiritual plans? You just want to get a little spiritual taste. I just want to see what's going to happen if I do this, if I allow myself into this experience. What is it going to taste like? What is it going to be if I allow this experience to come into my life and become me? So those are the five senses. Your hearing equals your thoughts. Your touch equals your actions or your deeds. Your smell, your discernment. Sight would be your understanding and wisdom. Taste being rewarding experiences, good, really, or unrewarding experience. They could be good or bad. However, you're experiencing things. You're getting a small experience or a piece of an experience, and that's a taste in the spiritual sense. And so I know that if we were to be more mindful of all these things, we would be able to fix our spirit. Now, why does this have anything to do with fixing the spirit? You guys, we have all of these senses and then more because, we can communicate in the spirit by way of our consciousness. Like I said before, we have a Wi-Fi. We have a natural Wi-Fi that is wired between every person's quantum, I want to say it this way, wired between every person's organic quantum computer, which is your brain. We have natural Wi-Fi. So when it comes time for us to use these senses, we can fix things by using these senses. When I touch a person with my actions, if I have an intention for my touch to be good and soothing and nurturing and caring to that person, but then they turn around and they give me an energy that is negative or resisting, then that would allow me to know more about myself in a spiritual sense. Why? How does it help you when somebody responds negatively to your spiritual touch? How? I wish one of y'all would tell me that. I want you to tell me. How can you fix yourself? If you have expressed your energy onto a person and they retract or they respond negatively or they resist your spiritual touch, does that say something to you? What does that say to you when you have to see that you were not well received? Your energy was not well received. This should be an easy answer. I guess I'm going to go ahead and say it because I hate the fact that there's a delay on the live and I always get impatient. But Mom Bo said, go ahead and quit that job, girl. I'm not going to tell you to do it without your thoughts. Now, make sure that you're going back and forth between them thoughts because they're going to help you to make your decision. But once you know what you know, don't delay. Quit today. Once you have planned out everything and you've tested that plan and you've gone over your what do you call it? Possible system failures. You're going through this engineering process in your mind. You know what to do. You know when you're prepared. Test yourself to see if you're ready. Don't just jump out there because that's not a smart thing to do. But what you should do is test yourself. Test yourself to understand more about what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and answer my own question. If somebody responds negatively to your expression of emotion or your expression of energy, meaning you're letting energy out onto a person and they respond back negatively, you can fix yourself by recognizing that it was not necessarily the fact that you did anything negative to them. It's just that you thought you were coming off according to your perception, that you thought that what you were going to do was going to positively affect this person. And when they coiled back, contracting away from your energy, then that lets you know there was something about you that you misunderstood about yourself. Because if I thought my expression was a positive one, and then when I let it out and it comes back with all kinds of negativity, that should let me know it wasn't everybody else that responded with the retraction or the coiling back or the resistance to my energy. That was me. I'm the one who misinterpreted my expression. And if I say, if I say something and I thought that it was a productive, constructive criticism, I'm not going to blame everybody else for them not taking on what I gave them. I'm going to allow myself to see that was me that did that. That was me that had the negative energy. I just was not able to perceive. Exactly. I know that I was not able to perceive that I had some kind of negative effect before, or that I would have some kind of negative effect before. So when you are thinking about fixing yourself, and I think you're right, Mambo, so you don't have to change yourself if you mean well. But what you would be wise to do would be to step back and to take inventory as to why that energy came off as a negative energy when you let it out, especially if you did not intend. Now, check your intentions, okay? When you are in the spirit and you're wanting to fix yourself, this is what I wrote down about fixing your spirit. That equals to obeying natural laws of the truth. So if I have expressed myself and I've allowed myself to touch people with my expression, those people return back to me a negative response, or something, like I said, a contraction or a resistance to my energy touching them. They say when you touch somebody, you're supposed to agree when you're in the spirit, or when you're in the flow of the spirit of love and everything else. You're supposed to touch and agree. Now, if my energy touches you and you don't agree, you come back, you jump back and say, oh Lord, I have to be the one to look at myself and say, now, why did that happen? Because when I expressed myself, I knew that I had good intentions. When I expressed myself, I knew that my perception of what I said was positive. I knew that what I meant should have come off in a very positive light. So now you would be very wise to only look at how you may want to change yourself. Because if you look at all the other hundreds of thousands of millions of people or whatever who you touched, and you try to figure out what was it that they told you about what they perceived. If you try to go there and try to please every last one of them, you'll be crazy. You will drive yourself crazy. What you do is you listen to that person's truth. If you express yourself and they come back and they say, oh my God, you hurt me when you said that. You hurt me when you did that. That is your opportunity to obey the natural laws of the truth, because it may not be true for you, but understand that everything that's true for you is not true for everybody else. And everything that's true for other people is not true for you. And you have to respect that. So if you want to fix yourself in the spirit, fix yourself in how you express, fix yourself in how you touch people, fix yourself in how you see things, fix yourself in how you are hearing your thoughts, fix your own spirit. What you must do is analyze the responses. Analyze, how is it that I'm having an effect on the people in my environment? If I'm trying to affect them in this way, then that's the effect that I should see. And if I'm not seeing the effect that I meant to have, then that means I need to control me, because I can't control them. I cannot control how they are perceiving me. I can only control how I am displaying myself. I can only change how I am expressing myself. I can only change how I am showing them who I am. Do you get what I mean? So it's not about trying to please anyone. It's about having your true intentions communicated in a way that it is aligned and agreeable with the responses that you're getting from your natural universal environment. So if I say, now when I said this, I really didn't mean to hurt your feelings. So if I'm going to obey the natural laws of the truth, when you tell me that I hurt your feelings, even though I did not mean to, or even that I don't feel like you should have had your feelings hurt, I'm not going to say, what you mean I hurt your feelings? I didn't even say anything to hurt your feelings. Get out of here. You see what I mean? You can't make that determination for another person. You intended to say something that was going to be kosher. But what you said, clearly, according to that person's truth, it's not kosher. So can you change that person and tell them, well, your perception should have been different. Your perception should have known that I didn't mean any harm by what I said. No, you can only take that person's truth at face value, whether you agree with it or not. You take it at face value, and from then on, you decide if you have any changes that need to be made. So the next time you get around that person and you tell them, girl, that hair color don't match your skin, you say, I take that as a doggone gift when I tell somebody, girl, that hair color ain't good on you, girl. You look bad, sis. If I tell you that and they hurt your feelings, maybe the next time I come back, I'm going to say, girl, maybe you should do a soft color next time, because that platinum blonde ain't really, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Change it up a little bit. Come back the next time. Don't hold back your expression and the intention behind your expression, because you still want to tell the person that they look bad or that they could do something to do, help themselves out. You might not yell out in front of a group of people, you got a booger in your nose, because that's not necessarily what you want to do to be received well. You could easily come and change up how you are coming off and how you are expressing yourself, and say, you got a little something in your nose. You might want to step to the side. You might want to cover up your nose. You got something in there. Don't tell nobody. You see what I mean? It's a difference in the way you come off in the spirit. It's a difference the way you touch people with your energy and the way they respond. You're able to see and discern. You're able to smell things coming back at you. You can smell yourself. You ain't never heard no old person say that. Oh, she done started smelling herself as soon as you turn 13. Oh, yeah, now she over there smelling herself. Now she can't even, she act like she all that. Whatever. You can say what you want. But the thing about it is that when you are in the spirit, you must be aware of your spirit. If you're not aware of how you're touching people and how people are responding to what you are giving off to them, it's not them. It's not them that needs to change. It's not them that needs to treat you better or understand you better or nothing like that. It's just simply you having to find a smooth way of communicating and offering yourself. Do you know how much changing I've done in how I speak to people? When I used to teach, I used to sound very condemning. I used to sound very judgmental when I would come to present my messages of spirituality to people, because I was angry with myself. I was angry with myself for believing lies. I was angry with myself for not finding the truth faster. I was angry with myself for a lot of different reasons that I was taking out on other people. And when I was touching them with that angry energy or with that judgmental energy, they were coming back at me like, girl, what? I can't even listen to what you're saying because of the way you're saying it to me. Did I mean well? Was I trying to teach? Was I trying to share my knowledge? Yes, I was. But the way I was doing it needed to change, because the way it was coming off, my mission was not being accomplished. My intentions were not being honored. You understand? My intentions weren't coming off correctly. Did that serve me at all? No, because I wasn't intending to fight. I wasn't intending to argue. I wasn't intending to do any of that. What I wanted to do was to actually teach. I actually wanted to bring messages of love, messages of growth, messages of enlightenment. But because my message was not coming off the way I intended it, I had to look at myself. I could not go around and tell everybody else that they had to understand me the way I wanted to be understood. It didn't make sense. Sharice, you got to go back and tell these and change how you're communicating with people, because it's not them that's misunderstanding you. It's you that's misunderstanding yourself. If you don't know that there are things you can do to change how you're affecting people, that's not nobody else's fault. That's not how how you do that. This is a very good question, Mambo. So thank you for asking that question. The question she just asked: how do you separate self-reflection and other people's projections? That is also personal truth. The same way it works in reverse. So if I am intending to give a certain understanding with a communication, and it comes off wrong, do I accept? Now everybody else is coming at me with this opinion of who I am. Now, they might not necessarily understand or know me very well. So when they come back with the negative response and I have to grapple with, okay, is this me or is this them? It's the truth. It's your personal truth. So if somebody tells me I'm being judgmental, okay, with the way I'm speaking to them, it's up to me at that point to receive the energy that's bouncing back to me, and I have to apply truth to it. I have to apply truth and to understand, well, Sharice, were you being judgmental? What is your opinion about the situation? Were you? Because can you understand in any capacity why somebody would think that you were being judgmental when you spoke what you spoke, when you touched them the way that you touched them? Is there any inclination? Is there any truth to that? Because if they found it to be true in some sense or another, it had to be true because it was true to them. So you apply your own knowledge of who you are to that response. And then you say, okay, listen, I may not have intended to be judgmental, but because these people have reflected to me what they felt out of my expression, then I'm going to accept that as their truth. And then I'm going to apply my truth to it. If I don't believe I was being judgmental, if I don't believe that I need to change, and I want to caution you, because when you are trying to go between a self-reflection and another person's projection, you must have a soft heart. You have to have a soft heart, because if you're trying to make an assessment, a personal assessment of who and what you are, and you try to ask yourself these truthful questions, all right, now, if they said that this is true about me, do I feel that it's true about me? Now, if you're not going to tell yourself the truth and saying, well, girl, you kind of did say that kind of rough, Sharice, you was really going in. You was talking about you, they, what y'all ain't doing, what this person ain't, everybody else but yourself. That's judgmental. I had to be the person to sit back and say, well, I had to soften my heart. Had to soften my heart and humble myself to recognize that their reflection, okay? Because when I'm expressing myself, all of these people are my mirror. Why? Because they're reflecting back to me. I'm giving it out and they're giving it back. They're telling me I like that or I didn't like that. That's a reflection. So when I'm getting this reflection back from them, now it has to be subject to my truth. And so if I deem it to be true with my soft heart, then I will make the personal corrections that I know I need to make based on my truth. But if I recognize that these people did not understand, these people did not consider, these people did not give me a fair trial, so to speak, then I know that there may not be a whole bunch of changes I need to make within myself if I'm truthfully and humbly comfortable with the way that I express myself, with the way that I touch these people. Now, I want to say this real quick because I know that this happens a lot. There will be times where you will be in your righteous spirit and you will be righteously touching people with righteous information and righteous everything else. But because they're dead in their mind and in their spirit, they come back to you with a negative reflection. There are times where you will need to silence that type of behavior or that type of sort of ignorance. Because when you're speaking in absolute truth, not necessarily in your personal truth, like natural laws, and like a lot of times I teach people about natural laws and they resist. And I'd be like, how are you resisting natural laws? That is universal law. You understand what I said? That's universal law, bro. You can't deny that. How are you negatively coming against that? of all things. And so that type of behavior, or that type of response, I can easily negate it. I can easily say, oh, well, that was not pertaining to what I said, or that wasn't pertaining to something that I need to change, because these people clearly are not giving any honor to truth. These people don't have any integrity in seeking. They don't have the integrity of seeking and going down their own journey without relying on my information to sort of inform them. So those types of things, I believe discretion is the best way to kind of handle it and see what is it. But that also has to do with discernment as well. When you got something going on and you know what you know, that you know what you know, trust yourself. Trust yourself, because other people will lead you astray if you leave your decisions completely up to them. Trust that when you speak to yourself, that you know what you're talking about to yourself about yourself. There's not any other person that can help you to understand your knowledge of self better than you can understand your knowledge of self by yourself. So when these projections come on to you, see them. Do you have to accept them? No. Do you have to agree with them? No. Should you hear them and should you consider them? Absolutely. Because you'll never know when it's you. Sometimes it's you. Really, most of the time. I want to say all the time. You might not always need to change, but every time that you have an experience, it's you. It's you that created that experience. It's you that allowed and accepted that experience, and it's you that that will process it in a certain way, to perceive it in a certain way. It's not anybody else. It's just you. So remember that, because in the spirit, as you're going around collecting experiences, and as you're going around touching people and discerning things and expressing things, all of that you're doing to interact with this whole entire environment, this universe, all of that stuff you pouring out there, it is your creation. So be mindful. Everything that you're doing, everything that you're thinking, everybody you're touching, everything that you're accepting, everything you're looking at, everything you're eating, every place you're walking to, every person you're visiting, it's all you that's doing that. It's your experience. So give yourself some good taste. Taste the good life. Don't taste the negativity. Taste the good life in the spirit. Experience the good stuff. Give yourself the type of experience, like for me, I didn't want people telling me about myself all the time when I came to teach them. I came to teach. I came to share my knowledge. So did I want people to reject me? Did I want people to think that I was being judgmental and to say, oh, she's not spiritual, all she is judgmental and all of this negativity? No. So when I softened my heart and I realized that was me creating that experience, I didn't reject everybody else and tell them that they was tripping and they needed to change. No. What I do? I changed faces. This is what I did. I let me tell you what I did now. I changed faces up on them real quick. Let me tell you. Because I'm going to teach you, whether you want it or not, because that's my calling. But I'm not going to allow myself to get in my own way of my calling. I changed faces on that ass. I got nice. I started coming real nice with the message. When I started speaking, I stopped saying what he was doing and she was doing and they was doing. I started saying we. I started including myself. It's us. It's our problem. It's not they. It's not them. It's not you. It's us. It's we. Togetherness. I put myself into that because I know good and full well I ain't judging nobody. That's not my intention to judge anybody. So I had to change myself so that I wouldn't be perceived that way. I couldn't change everybody else from perceiving me that way. So I took the easy way out. Like I said, I put my little sun shades on. Come on now. I got to teach you. I got to show you what this is about. I got to show you. I got to teach you something. I got to tell you. So the only way you're going to receive what I have to say to you is that if I throw myself in the pot with you and let you know I'm not judging you. I'm not coming down on you for not knowing. I'm not telling you that you are less than because you don't know what I'm trying to teach you. There are plenty of people out there right now call themselves conscious, and every time they post something, they condescending to their own followers. That it's a couple of spiritual healers and leaders that are out there right now, and every time they address their following, they telling these people, but see, y'all don't know what it's like to be in the spirit. Y'all steadily out here doing this, y'all steadily dressing like that, y'all steadily talking like this. Like, this person don't have nothing going on in their life that they need to overcome. I had to change myself, because that's the way I was approaching it, forgetting that I was still learning, forgetting that I was still effed up in a lot of ways, forgetting that I'm still effed up in a lot of ways. So I had to change myself. I was not about to allow people to misunderstand my intentions. I was not about to allow myself to go down like that, because I would not be able to give my message. I would not be able to teach what I've been learning. I would not be able to help anybody with these talks or these anything if every time I open my mouth, I'm beating you over the head with your transgressions. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. We have all been misled. We have all been deceived, bamboozled, and hoodwinked. We've all been led astray, run amok. So I'm not getting ready to put myself aside or set myself aside to make it seem like I done been here already. Like I just had this whole thing perfected from day one. No, I don't. And I don't pretend to. And so now that I had, at the time, I had realized what I was doing, and I softened my heart. And I softened my words. I softened my words. Y'all don't understand. I'm not going to say y'all don't understand, but I'm going to tell y'all, people who don't have big lips, you don't understand the advantage that you have trying to speak English. And you know how hard it is to get these words out of my mouth? These lips be just blah, 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 blah. I have to really concentrate trying to speak. Because even speaking, me trying and putting the effort into being proper, sometimes things just don't come out right. I just be trying so hard. But you guys, I really want you to be mindful of how you're operating in your spirit. Be mindful of the moves you can make in your spirit. Be mindful of the things you can pick up with your spirit. Be mindful of the things you can change with your spirit. Because every experience that you're having it through your physical body, but your spirit is having the experience. Do you understand? Your spirit tells your body what experiences it wants to have. And that's the reason why you are casting spells when you speak. Because your mind is telling your body to create this experience. So you start speaking it up. After you've thought it, you speak it. Then you speak it and you start being it. You're doing it. You're walking it. You're manifesting it. You understand? So this is how we're going to make some changes in our environment mentally and physically. We're going to soften our hearts about the things we know we can and need to change, or things we can and should change. Because who else is going to do it for us? Who else is going to make the adjustments that need to be made in our lives for ourselves to have a better experience other than us? If we're not going to do it, then who? You got me? All right, y'all. So this is my talk for today. Spiritual operation. Goodness gracious. Spiritual operation. That's what we've discussed today. Just in case you missed it, it will be posted. You can go to SoundCloud, click the link in my bio to get to my podcast. There are 31 episodes, or 32, I think now. So if you have enjoyed this one, please go back and listen to the other ones and share the other ones. Go on my Facebook page. You can see the other videos. You can go on YouTube and see those as well. My website is www.reeseroberts.com. All the links to my social media pages are on my website. So if you want to find me on other platforms, please feel free to go to www.reeseroberts.com and just click on the social media links that you find on my webpage. You can also join on reeseroberts.com. You can join as a member and you get access to curated content. All right. When I say curated content, this content is curated, baby. I got books on this thing. I'm talking about the Metu Netter. I'm talking about the subconscious mind. I'm talking about the metaphysical Bible. I'm talking about the seat of the soul. I'm talking about, I got books on there that you need to read. So, go on my website, join as a member. When I give you membership access, you'll have access to those downloads for the free ski. Okay. Free. ReeseRoberts.com. Hit the join button Give me your email and your first name so I can get you up in there. You can download these books and put your mind on something. You know, it's really, really good to hear about yourself, to hear about your spirit. There are also curated videos on there for people who ain't necessarily inclined to read. That's okay. Go on there and watch the videos. There's a brother on there by the name of Mark Passio. Mark Passio is like my soul brother, even though he is Caucasian and his spirit is not naturally connected to the same source that my spirit is naturally connected to. Somehow the brother done figured it out. He is a brother from another mother, literally from another mother, not our mother. But anyway, Mark Passio, his videos are a part of the curated content on my page. So again, www.reeseroberts.com. You can also go to listen to Entertain the Thought on SoundCloud, which is the podcast, and you can also listen to me speaking on YouTube. That's it, you guys. I'm Reese Roberts. I love you very much. Please do come back on what's today? Friday? Monday. Good God, I'm losing my days. Monday, I'll be back here at 11 a.m. And I want you... Okay, my boss, he had to find a loophole, girl, because he wasn't going to get up through there naturally with the melanin. He wasn't about to get up through there with the melanin. He ain't got it. But Mark Passio is a bad brother, y'all. I want y'all to check him out regardless if he don't have melanin or not. He is... Mark Passio is... Passio is spelled just like passion. Just take the N off. Mark Passio. It's spelled just like passion. Just take the N off the end, and that's his name, Mark Passio. And I think that might have something to do with the reason why he is so enlightened, because he really does show passion, and that's his namesake. I also live by my namesake. My name is Sharice. If you take the E off the end of my name, it says shares. And that's all I do is I share information. My last name is also my namesake that I live by, which is Muse. My maiden name is Muse, M-U-S-E, which means to be a source of inspiration. I don't know if you know anything about Greek mythology, which is nothing but African mythology or African history. But a muse is what the gods used to use in order to create art, to create artistic expression and abstract expression. And that's me. I'm a muse. Literally, by name. My name is Sharice Muse. So, anyway, that's a little tidbit about me. Again, this is Entertain the Thought. You guys, come on back on Monday at 11 a.m. and I'll be back to give you some more of my mind. I love you guys. Bye-bye.